Shut up, John. Hello, sports fans and internet bantersauruses. Welcome back to Banter with the Boys with me, your host, Nik Rabinowitz, coming to you from Chardonnay, Delhi, here in Constantia. They're currently shooting Constantia Chainsaw Massacre behind us, hence the noise. Before I introduce today's panel, let's take a look at this week's sporting highlights. Football fans witnessed the shiniest head-to-head clash since James Dalton Liverpool kissed a disco ball for looking at him funny. When Erik ten Hag's Manchester United were thumped 3-0 by his Dutch compatriot Arne Slot's Liverpool on Sunday. To be fair, Ten Hag does have to spend more time on the set of the Dutch remake of Breaking Bad, where he plays Heisenberg. The show also features Arne Slot as the Dutch version of Hank Schreider and is called Kakbrek. South Africa has won its first Paralympic gold medal with Mpumelelo Mhlongo storming to gold in the T44 100-meter final at the Stade de France on Sunday. After winning the 2007 and 2023 Rugby Cups, a couple of Olympic medals, Mama Joyce's new husband, and that ole trumpet sound. At the same venue, the Frenchies have said they will be following Ireland's lead and placing all South African visas under review. In Formula One, Italians were ecstatic after Ferrari took first place at Monza's Italian Grand Prix. Ferrari pulled it off thanks to their team motto of, if at first you don't succeed, and also at second and third, throw money at the problem until you do. To give you an idea of how patriotic the win was, it's like the Grand Prix coming back to Kyalami and being won by a 15-seater high-ace taxi with a Fortuna and a Hilux in second and third. SA Rugby has apologized to the All Blacks for mistiming the Emirates Airbus flyover, music and fireworks that caused a case of haka interruptus last weekend at Ellis Park. The Airbus 380 pilot was apparently told, Sipho, just slow down for 30 seconds. But as we all know, no one in their right mind slows down while traveling through Hillbrow, not even when they're 500 feet above it. For this weekend's test at Cape Town Stadium, rumour has it there'll be a flyover by the Mavericks twin prop plane with a Springbok flag attached to a banner that reads, Mavericks, for all black fans wanting to get screwed twice in one weekend.
That's a hell of an opening.
Yes.
Well, it gives me great pleasure to welcome back my esteemed panel members. To my right, they say he was part of the Bok Renaissance in 2004, but Michelangelo never won 2 Tri-Nations titles or went along for a trip to the 2007 Rugby World Cup, did he? With 135 points scored in 109 tests, 37 of them as captain, it's my co-host, JDV. DV, he's only got one knee. He's better than Chewy Lagi. JDV.
That's impressive.
Isn't it?
Yes, I like it. Can you send me that?
Yes, I can. And to my left, returning to the banter fold after a weekend off, we don't know what he was doing, a man who resembles the scariest henchman in a Steven Seagal movie, but sounds more like a kindly accountant from a small family-run firm in the Gqeberha suburb of Westering. With 86 tests for the Springboks and as many podcast appearances discussing rugby alongside his childhood sweetheart Peter De Villiers, it's Schalk Burger Jr.
Thank you, man.
Sculler, sorry,
to be back.
we didn't make up a song.
I didn't
for
get the
you.
song.
All we could think of was to use your full name.
Which is a bit of a rhyme itself, isn't it?
It is.
Which is also his dad's name, which is also his son's name.
Yeah, because it goes Groot Schalk. I've mentioned this before publicly. How does it go again?
I don't know.
Groot Schalk, Schalk. Your son is Schalk
It's just
Junior, and the next one is?
It's easier to remember
Schalk
what your kid's
Poseidon.
name is. You just gotta.
Junior.
Easier to spell, but like a Schalk Poseidon once asked me for my signature, and he said, "Can you please make it out to my name?" And then I asked him, like, "How do you spell it?" He didn't find it very funny, no.
Speaking of knee injuries, Jean de Villiers, I'd like to ask you guys, when was the last time the All Blacks played the Springboks in Cape Town?
2017.
And who was famously or infamously injured on that day?
Ibn Etzebeth was captain.
Yep. Okay.
All I remember from that game is remember there was half time, but we didn't kick out. We kept on playing till it was like a 50 minute first half.
First half, yes.
I can't remember who got injured.
No.
Yep.
What position?
Well, that'll be giving it away.
Okay.
But let me also ask you about
What injury?
Who famously played in the curtain
Oh,
raiser?
no, man, Wayde. Wayde,
And who else?
No, Wayde got injured.
Did he play
But
touchy?
who else played
Yes.
in the curtain raiser?
Nik Rabinowitz.
That is indeed correct.
Did you step Wayde?
Here
It's your fault, is it?
Here's an actual image.
Oh no, check it.
Check at that. Yeah, there we go. That is the infamous moments where
yeah.
Olympian Wayde van Niekerk suffered a career-changing knee injury just after I touched him.
Really?
Yeah, if I knew I was going to break that oak anyway, I would have actually tackled him properly.
I think then he might not have been injured.
I think so.
Yeah, you could
Guys,
have
but
saved him.
talk about moments in the career. How did you, playing touch at Newlands?
You know what? You know what happened? Sorry, my phone's just ringing. Is this Wayde? No, it's not Wayde.
You can take it if you want to.
No, fine.
It's an Indian person.
Yeah. What happened? So I was next to the field for that game,
Yeah.
and they were doing this whole thing, and Wayde's family was next to the field as well.
Did you notice me?
No, I didn't notice you at all. His fiance at the time, now wife, and excuse me. No, I'm good.
You good?
And then they had like a fake doctor as well as part of this, the whole thing of the build-up. And Wayne got injured, so now the fake doctor kind of runs on, and it's all games, and the people laugh and clap hands, and he's like carrying Wayde off, and I'm like checking, and I'm like,
That's not fake.
that's not fair, and I'm like, Wayde, and he's like, no, and like, so I followed him back down into the medical room there.
First right down the
Newlands,
tunnel. We've
yeah.
been there way too many times.
You
haven't
were a
we?
Many
first
times.
responder, basically.
Yes, basically, and then I went back to his fiancée because they were still filming, and I said, listen guys, you probably need to go there. Wayde really got injured.
Yeah.
there.
No ways.
And look where we are now. It's like 7 years later.
It's a dangerous
It's
sport,
so
tag
sad.
rugby. Guys, our producer, Terence, who's not with us today, he suggested for this episode that we get... Okay, just let me preface this by saying I don't think Terence knows a lot about rugby.
No, he doesn't.
But I asked him, who are we getting as a guest for this week?
Is it wrong to say it's nicer when Terence is not here? No.
It's wrong to say that.
Okay.
But also maybe it's a good thing he's not, because he suggested as a guest for this week we get Chester Williams. Now, I then had to point out that if we're going to do that, we should also get Joost and James Small, as well as Donnie Craven, to be on a show which we would rename Crossing Over with Nik Rabinowitz. And I thought of an idea for that. I've got an animal psychic we got in to speak to our golden doodle, and she could actually, she's an animal psychic to the stars. Her name's Diane, and she could talk with Doc Craven's dog Blixen on the show. To be fantastic. If at any point, guys, if you see the lights flickering during today's show, that's James Small signaling for a cross kick. But anyway, we actually have a living guest on the show.
What's wrong with you? What is wrong with you, Nick?
We have... Wat sê jy, Bliksem?
I don't actually know what to make of it. The only thing I got is Bliksem.
That is wrong. On
Today's
so many
guest,
levels.
seriously, is the first Bok coach since, this is an interesting stat, since Nick Mallet to have a 100% win record against the All Blacks in a single calendar year. That was 2009. He's also the first coach since Neely Smith to secure a series win over the British and Irish Lions. And the history books will forever remember him as the first ever person of colour to be appointed Springbok coach, a winning record of 62.5%. Please welcome former SA under-19, under-21 and Springbok coach, Noorderparel's greatest export since Avril Williams, Coach Peter De Villiers.
Hey.
Peter,
Great man.
welkom.
Welcome to see.
Coach Divi, welcome to Banter with the boys. I must say, you are looking so well. You're looking fabulous, and your magnificent trademark snore is still going. How many consecutive years have you been celebrating Movember?
Forever.
First up, let's get this out of the way. Are you and Jean De Villiers related in any way?
At times, yeah. When I could do something for him. But other times, I'm only Peter.
When has this turned into a father-son show?
It's like the rugby version of Kumbule
Guys,
Kaya.
I'm born in Paul, now live back in Paul again.
Yes.
De Villiers
Born in
from
Paul.
Paul, De Villiers from Paul.
Who was delivering the milk to this De Villiers?
I would have preferred a bit of a darker shade as well. You know, it's when you age, it's nice to be a little bit, you know.
Especially when they selected him on the wing. He looked out of place there.
No, we come back quite a while. He was one of the players in the under-19 side,
Yes,
and
yes.
I coached the Springboks there, and since then, yeah.
You've known these two for a very long time. When did you first encounter this guy to your left?
He won't remember me, but since he hit sixes for Al Jim,
Yes.
I knew this guy, he has ball sense, but
So you don't remember the other half of that opening batting
no.
partnership?
No, they were good. They were actually great sports people.
This is from you, Jean.
No, well, sometimes.
Yeah, he could bowl too, this guy.
I also wanted to get one thing out of the way up front. We were speaking about fake doctors earlier, but could you tell us about the doctor and the beer drinking in the Springbok setup when these guys were around?
Yeah, medical team. They are always so in awe of keeping players fit on the field, because I told them I don't want you to recover them. I want them to keep them fit because I want the best team to play.
Yes.
So the doctor came to me and he said he spoke to one of these two guys, and he said to him, "You must go speak to Schalk. Yeah, he's drinking too much."
No.
I said,
Schalk?
Yeah, Schalk.
Really?
Schalk. And I said, "Not Schalk." He said, "Yeah, true, Schalk." And I went to Schalk and I first asked him, "So, if he drink less, how long will he play?" "No, it will be for quite a while. And if we keep on drinking like this, how many years will be cut on his career?" He say 3 or 4 years. I say, "It's fine. Let him drink. I only need him for 4 years."
Now you've got many nicknames in your time as coach, but Snorra, but P. Divvy is one that really stuck, which is a player on the rapper P. Diddy. Did you know that P. Divvy was from P. Diddy?
No, I don't know.
Yes, it's the first time you heard that. Jean De Villiers had a rapper name. His was Wycliffe Jean. And do you think bringing rapper names back into rugby, it worked well in
Yes.
your day? I actually suggested this to Coach John Dobson for the Stormers when you do the fines at the end of the day, that the Dick of the Day award, that person should get the rapper name Tukak. Coach, you have many accomplishments in your time as Springbok coach. One disappointment, you didn't manage to win a World Cup. You had an incredible track record against the All Blacks. We'll come back to that. But unlike Niekerk, you never lost to Japan. I mean, that's a feather in your cap. And I was thinking to myself, it must be a disappointment not to have won a World Cup trophy. But I'm also thinking there's a positive spin on that. It might have been a good thing that you didn't win a World Cup, because if you think about it, Madiba lifted the trophy in 95, and then it was Thabo in 99. Cyril's lifted it twice.
Yeah, Thabo in 2007. Yeah.
And Cyril 2019, 2023. Did it ever enter your head, if we win this thing, Jacob Zuma's going to get his hands on that trophy, and he might redistribute that trophy to one of the Gupta's kids for a wedding present or something like that? No.
No.
Okay.
I don't
The
think.
answer's no.
But we should talk about that World Cup, because, 2011, when he was coach, and obviously Schalk and I, we were involved.
I think it's too soon. I'm not ready to discuss that game yet, that
That's
quarterfinal.
exactly it. It's 13 years ago, quarterfinal against Australia in New Zealand, and I mean, the heartache and the heartbreak and just the sadness that was in the team room when we got back to the hotel. And then they like ship you off, eh? It was like we got back to the hotel, you like we played 7 o'clock or whatever, finished the game at 9, you get back to the hotel 10:30, 11 o'clock. 4 o'clock the next morning we had to be back at the airport.
Yeah.
You need to get out the country. Pooh, there you go.
Pack your bags and off you go. The only thing, we bossed that game, like every department, but still, we didn't get a kickable penalty. Yes, I mean, maybe we could have gone for a drop goal. They get into a half once, we concede a penalty, they kick it, we lose. What was it, 11-9 was it? 11-9, yeah. John line break passes to Lambie. Lambie's drop goal goes just bit right.
We will never mention match fixing in that game, you know, from the referee side.
You know, Bryce Lawrence, like he never came back to South Africa, retired soon after. But then I was in Japan, and we did our training, and like obviously trained pretty hard there in Japan. I'm sitting there and I'm having a nice little meal there with my Japanese teammates late at night, and I'm waiting to get home to drink a nice beer, just to watch the rugby off and feel a little bit more normal, reset my own equilibrium. I'm sitting there and I'm recognizing this bloody voice, and I'm like, surely can't be, and I'm too scared to look around. And I look around, and there's bloody Bryce Lawrence coaching the Japanese referees, and I walk there in my broken Japanese and broken English, and I basically said, he's not a good example, don't follow his example. And all the Japanese referees looked at me, and then I just walked off. It was the last time I saw him.
Tell us a bit about your journey into rugby. Of course, in your day, you were what they called a nuggety little scrum half. Tell us about those early days growing up. Who were some of your heroes? What were your dreams for a future career in rugby?
Yeah, you know, when I played, it was more politics than anything else, you know. And that was apartheid years and all those kind of things. So you never made sensible rugby decisions. You always had that politics in your mind, your family, your friends, your father, all those kind of. So I went to play for Saru because I wasn't a good politician then, you know, and my only contribution I could make with the talent that I got is to go give it back to the people where they can come watch it, you know. So up till today, I don't have any remorse or bad memories of those days. Only the rugby fields actually were not that good. Some games, Scala, you just decide today I'm not falling.
Yes.
Because there was no grass on the field.
Like that.
Yeah. I've been watching Currie Cup. Have you seen the Griffins field, boys?
Yeah.
No one goes, and I mean, we've got like a red-head flank lock for the province. I don't know, whatever. The end of the game, 80 minutes. You should just kick it into touch. He takes a quick tap, dives. I think he's got no skin on his left on his face. It's just dust.
People who didn't experience growing up in that time and the challenges and political challenges you talk about can't understand why this weekend at Cape Town Stadium we will see a lot of All Black homegrown, probably the biggest number of All Black supporters outside of New Zealand in Cape Town. And if you didn't grow up in that era, you don't understand why people supported the All Blacks. Was that a thing even back then?
Yeah, but you know, I didn't support the All Blacks. I supported every other team
Right.
who played against South Africa.
Yes.
You know, I don't know why people got stuck to the All Blacks, because if you have a political mind, the All Blacks should be the last team you support, because they came here as a rebel team.
Yes.
You understand what we're getting at?
Yeah.
So
The Cavaliers and
the Cavaliers, they came as a rebel team to South Africa. So now, if you're against those kind of things, why would you support them if they would come here and go do things like that? You know. So, yeah, but it's what choices.
Yeah.
It's Nick. It's obviously that's a sensitive point, and again, you know, your reference point. You know, a darker skinned person from Paul versus me, Afrikaans. White guy from Paul, your reference is totally different. Okay, the age that I grew up in versus him as well. But like, so my question is, can you still justify supporting the All as a South African, born in South Africa, raised here, getting the benefits of what South Africa gives you, getting the benefits of what the Springbok team and the transformation that we've seen in the Springbok team. Can you still justify supporting the All Blacks?
Let's take it a bit wider. Let's take it to soccer. I mean, people have their own preferences. Man United and all those kind of people are
Those
there.
are clubs.
Yeah, but people are there. Yeah. You know, international soccer is not that big if you compare it with rugby. So I look at it from that point of view, where people were actually part of growing up in that. Yeah. The one thing that I can say here why I think they shouldn't support the All Blacks is that if your child in South Africa has a chance, one chance out of 70 million to become a Springbok, he has no chance to become an All Black. Yeah. So you're stealing actually that little chance that the guy do have to become the best in the country, you're stealing it from him, you know.
Yeah.
Because sorry, Nick,
Yeah.
I'm interrupting. Because Cheslin's family, I think, they supported all this. Then obviously, Cheslin
Chesney
became
came
a
through.
Springbok, and I'm very much making the
think
assumption.
that-
I'm pretty sure that
Do
they.
you think there was a case
converted.
for Super Rugby enhancing that? In the 90s, 2000, yes, obviously before that, but like Super Rugby played such a big role in our season here, and they were so successful, first through the
Yeah.
Blues in the 90s, and then obviously the Crusaders in the 2000s.
Yeah, but kind of my thing is, and I agree with like what the coach is saying. You know, you can support Man United and Liverpool,
Yeah.
and you can support the Blues and the Crusaders and whatever, but when it comes to your country, you know, you shouldn't have a choice. You shouldn't have a choice as to who you support.
I mean, yeah.
But some
you
people
don't.
still experience the pain, don't they?
This is very, very sensitive.
Yeah,
Yes.
For one reason, we didn't have any rugby fields. So if I look at what we didn't have and what we don't have now as the masses of colored people, if you call it like that in South Africa, we are still where we were. So if you look at All Black South Africa in isolation with the day-to-day living, you can't understand it. But if you see that where they come from and what they don't have and how they've been robbed from everything and circumstances, then you might just understand, wow,
Yes.
why should I support something that is not a benefit for me?
Yes. I remember the first time I experienced this when the All Blacks played that first series back. Was it 94?
92.
92, sorry. And I
At Ellis
traveled.
Park.
I was on my way up to the Orange River. I was working as a river guide. And we stopped outside Clan William. There was a small roadside pub there.
Yeah.
And it was the first, I don't know if it was at Ellis Park?
Well,
Are you talking about the first test match or the first
Donnie
tour?
Gerber was playing.
Yeah, Donnie Gerber and Peter Miller scored the try.
Yes.
Donnie scored
92.
the first try with
And
a
the
little
All Blacks
show and go.
just won that first
Yes.
game, right?
Yeah.
And I'll never forget it because all the white farmers were sitting on chairs. The farm laborers, many of whom were either standing or sitting on the. And when the All Blacks won that game by 1 point or whatever it was like these guys went wild.
Yeah.
And in that moment, I understood what was going on there.
If you become a Springbok, we don't actually investigate the culture. We just follow it blindly. Do you understand? We're getting it. So the same thing with the circumstances of these guys. They follow what they know.
Yes.
A lot of the children will say, I'm All Blacks, it's because what they
Yes.
saw at,
Yes.
at their houses. To come back to what John said, you can't believe at this stage still that the youngsters especially,
Yeah.
you know, but because they don't know about what happened in the past, but they are following.
When you get appointed as Springbok coach, what year was it? 2008.
8.
Take us through the emotions of that period coming into this team. Was it a largely white team at that point still?
Not white only, but they were the World Cup winners. I mean, they were actually brilliant players,
Right,
you know.
right.
And then you've been announced by your president, who's also a colored person, as not there for rugby reasons only.
Yes.
Now you can understand how tough it was for me to convince these guys that man he understands the game,
Yes.
because he's not there for rugby
Can you
reasons
remember
only.
that first team meeting? Walking in there.
The team meeting, those things were actually not bad. But for me to go back, to go forward, was a bad thing, because I knew the game. I coached most of these guys,
Yes.
so they do understand. I do understand a bit of the game. That was easy. Put plans in place and the structures and all those kind of. That is not
Right.
the hardest part. So you come into that team meeting with that little baggage, you know. And the only thing, you just draw on what you know about your country, what you know about where you want to go. You know, you draw of this. You're the first guy, but you also the next guy. You inherited a very successful team. To go change things that were working won't work for you, although you wanted to change things. So yeah, a lot of things I had to adapt to a hell of a lot of things myself. But at the end, it worked out.
I think 2008, like obviously it was glimpses. We had some spectacular performances, but not only that. If anyone can cast their minds back, the Northern Hemisphere, we played ELVs, experimental law variations, which was disgusting to play by all accounts, because so much of the onus of the game was in the hands of the referees.
Yeah.
We obviously know where this is leading. But like Ricky January's show and go, first win at the House of Pain Dunedin in 100 and I don't know how many years. Australia record at Ellis Park, 64 something, and then record win against England at Twickenham that was surpassed last year by France, 42 points to 6. So there was glimpses of the brilliance when we got a week right. Obviously, all of that came to fruition in 2009, where we had the most amazing year.
The hard part too, sorry John, is having these guys there who were successful.
Yes.
And try to make them understand, whoa, success is not a thing that can take you into the next game. It is only for yesterday. Do you understand? We're getting it. That was the toughest part, because we struggled in 2008. We struggled with the All Blacks here, and we struggled with Australia one game here. Yeah. And I had to call these guys in and say, wow, if I can lose with all these rugby heads like yours, I can go lose with new guys too. So you either pull up your socks or I pull in you guys.
Yeah. The two comments of what he said, the irony of that first meeting that you spoke about was that now we have the first coach of colour. Where are we staying the first time we get together? At the Lord Charles Hotel.
The Lord Charles, Somerset West. It's no longer the Lord Charles.
Yeah, it's something else now. Eh? But we stayed there, and also just some of the times that we had during that tenure was the best times. Of their career.
No, for sure.
You know, so just the culture that we created within the squad and the friendships that was eventually formulated throughout those years.
What are some of those highlights for you
culture.
guys?
We talk about culture. We have only one word as our culture, and that's honesty. So if you miss a tackle, if you don't pitch up early, you're dishonest. And then so that has nothing to do with color.
Is that like when Rassie says in Chasing the Sun, you promised you wouldn't give away penalties, you fucking lied? Is that?
Rugby players don't lie.
No,
they don't lie. No.
Like my favorite moment.
Would you put James Dalton in that
They
category?
will never lie to you. I'm telling you now, because they never wrong. Even when they're wrong, they're right. There's always a reason why they didn't do it.
Yeah, I know someone else like that too, but we can't mention it on live. My favorite moment was the Hamilton story. You've got to tell us the Hamilton story.
Yeah, we were on a roll, John. I mean, we beat the Lions. Yeah. I made a big blunder. Wanted to give everybody a taste of being part of the squad. And then we went over and we beat the All Blacks here. We went over. We beat
the All Blacks twice, in Durban and in Bloemfontein.
So we went over to Australia. We beat them there. And the second test we lost.
In Brisbane, obviously.
So now we have to win the next one to win the Tri-Nations. And I decided we're not going to practice. Because we lost, we're not going to practice. Now these guys don't understand that, because they're coming from a culture, if you lose, you bloody run your hands off. So I said, let's stay here in the Gold Coast, enjoy the sun, enjoy the weather, and we went off the Thursday. Yeah, we flew the Thursday down to Wednesday actually, down to Hamilton. So when we got there, the media got to me. No, before we get there, they said, why aren't we there? I say, there's nothing to do, man, in Hamilton. It's just like Bloemfontein. Why would you go there? Yeah, when we got there, I'm telling you how the media is there.
Yes.
The mayor of Hamilton is there. He handed over a book to me of Hamilton and all this kind of
stuff. What did you do in Hamilton?
101 things to do in Hamilton.
Yes! And there we won the game. And so we went into the media conference, and I said to them before we started, I just want to apologize. So now the media was good. Hey, he's going to apologize for the first time in his life. You know. I said that he has nothing to do in Hamilton. I was wrong. You can come win a Tri-Nation. Yeah.
But also, one story that I remember. Now, at the end, when the coach finished up, he always had some of these sayings. He would say stuff and then you listen and you think, what did he just say? But you know, it's like, what, we should have written it down. And Schalk Burger, and he's like, you know, he's just relentless.
Yeah, you too.
Yeah. So the one time, coach, the answer, before we run out, you know, final team talk and the coaches, guys, and I just come back to whatever happens today, I just want you to come back to that one word I always say, okay? Roles and responsibilities. So now I see Schalk Burger goes, okay. And I don't know what the word was. And after the game, we win the game, whatever. And now Schalk Burger walks around and he's all psyched up. He says, yeah, guys, and thank you very much for the performance of today. And it comes back to those 3 words, determination.
I'm telling you, listen here. This guy were actually him. John were part of all the planning
The
and
beer
all
drinker.
that. But this guy,
Yeah.
he doesn't understand. He's a rugby genius, you know. We changed all the lineouts before the World Cup. Now Victor and them want to bring it across 10 minutes. I'm just going to the toilet, please. Stay there for quite a while. Next day we start working on the stuff. He was lying with the scrum machine. Because it was boring for him. He understood it so quick, you know. They're struggling, the other guys are struggling. I went to lie next to him. I said to him, yes, these guys are stupid. They don't understand. They don't understand these things, but I use some very hard words, you know. Swear words with him. I say, but you know what? Just to make them feel you also part of the team. Just go in there, go do lineouts and come lie here by me again. I knew he will never come lie again, so I actually got him there with the team. But I couldn't tell him to go there. He would look at me and say, that boring stuff there, you know.
Yeah.
So I had to get to his head, into his head.
But he does have a big head. I mean, it's physically big, but also you're right. He is a rugby genius. I don't know whether he knows it or not. But can you understand him when he's talking on the Super Sport and dissecting the game?
He's in a different league.
Yeah.
He understands and he can see things quite ahead. And that's what John said. John said the reason why he scored so many tries is when I just look where he is. The ball will follow him, you know. Now
He doesn't want to coach.
I made one
right?
mistake with him.
Yeah.
I made only one mistake
What
with
was
him.
that?
When I look at the game now and I made one mistake, but it was actually instigated with the Blue Bulls guys, man. But anyhow, I should have played him 8. He created more opportunities for anybody else around him on a rugby field. But I followed Jake and I followed, actually, they loved Pierre's piece, the Blue Bulls.
Yes.
And but I should have followed my own.
Also, you know, in Pierre's defence, he was dynamic, like on a different level.
Yeah.
I mean, like we used to run fitness, me and
Good
John
man.
Smith, and we were like running together. And then Pierre came and he ran with the backs. You know, he was in front of the backs. It was something we haven't seen before. And you know, at that
But
time,
rugby-wise-
the Bulls was the best franchise team in the world during 2007 through to 2009.
So he could technically be one of the great coaches of all time, but he rather
No.
wants to just.
No, he will
what?
never. He will
He
never.
just wants to go lie next to a scrum machine.
He neither. You know,
Yeah.
the difference, or the difficult part for these two guys is they were so natural. They will never understand if somebody struggles. So they will never know how to get there because they never struggled. Whatever they touched became gold.
I guess like your best coaches, they get everyone to understand exactly what they want, all 23. Doesn't matter how technical or how much information certain players can handle. They've got the ability by Friday, if they mention the 3 things, the entire 23 plus the warm-up reserve, everyone can slot in. And I think that's part of what Rusty's got right with ours, our identity. You can pick any player, he knows exactly what's required, what to play. You often see with us, you'll have changes in Ergis name and drops out on a Thursday. Peter Steph, obviously he's a great player, but starts at number 4.
Yep.
The next oak slots in
It's
number
seamless.
7, and it's seamless. And that's what the good coaching, all coaching staffs gets ready with everyone. Every single player can slot in and understands exactly how it
But
works.
these guys won't understand that. You know, you can look at the guys who were very successful. Percy, for instance. The reason why I made Percy the kicking coach when I was with the Springboks in 1997, he couldn't kick. First he couldn't kick, first he couldn't understand anything of the game plan. But he scored the tries, you know. So James Small will say, "You again did the wrong thing." I say, "I scored, man." so he couldn't kick, but he turned out to become the best kicker in the world in 2007.
Yeah.
So I knew because he couldn't
How?
kick.
How did he?
Because I knew he couldn't kick, he had to work hard to find it out. So I knew because he had to work hard, he know how to look for the little things in players to correct their faults, you know. But these guys were too natural, man.
He went to Newport, and the thriving nightlife of Newport didn't quite get Percy. So instead he was practicing his kicking.
Right.
And to save energy, he went to the two-step.
Yeah.
What's your assessment looking at this current team, the game last week in Joburg? What are we expecting from the All Blacks? Are they going to come back at us with a vengeance?
If you look at this team and you look what we had, the one thing that's actually the same is you can't coach them anymore. There's so much experience, and that is for a coach, it's a dream. A lot of people said to me, "Why do you stick with the same team all the time?" For me, is if he picks the ball up, I want him to know what he's going to do, even if he doesn't know what he's going to do yet, because of his body language. You know, they read each other so well. And that's what's happening now with this team. There's, if I can put it this way, there's a hell of a lot of average guys in this team. But because they know each other so good, the weaknesses of the one becomes the strength of the other one.
Who would you say is average in this team?
Now you know what? If you look at the victim Matfield and Schalk Burger, Buckies, you look at those guys. Those were monsters.
Yes.
Do you understand? If we sit down and we analyze the game and look at the inputs that John will make or even Jog will make, then they will sit down, or Butch for that instance, you read all those kind of things and you say, wow, these guys on another level. That's one of the reasons why Butch went into the World Cup with us, because I knew on or off the field he would make such a big input for the team, you know. And if you look at how things has been done now. Let's take them out of a Springbok setup and put them in a Western Province or what setup. They were still outstanding. If you take some of these guys and you put them in the setup where they are the unions. I looked at kids of the other day against the Greek one team.
Pumas.
Yeah, Pumas. And it was very average to me. Do you understand what I'm getting at? He didn't show me what I had with these guys. But because they understand each other so well, they played so much together. You don't need to be the best in the world to put up together the best performance.
Your guys' thoughts heading into this weekend?
Yeah, I don't necessarily agree to say that we have average players in the box. I must say I'm quite in awe of our current group. You know, the depth that they have, and the reality is also, like, you know, and I always say this, I was fortunate to play with world-class rugby players, some of the best players ever to play for South Africa, you know, and I could call them my teammates, I can still call them my friends to this day. But I mean, the rugby evolves so much, you know, it's so difficult to compare the guys now to even back in 2007 or when we played, because technology is better. I think their training regimes is better. You know, the information that they get.
No place for eye gouging.
Yeah.
You got to come back to that.
I didn't see that one coming. So it's so difficult to compare. And I think as Schalk mentioned now, every single time any of these guys in this group of almost 40 players, when they get an opportunity for the box, they perform. And they slot in seamlessly, they know exactly what's expected of them, and they perform. And that to me is you know, the consistency that they have. I think at times we were lacking with those.
Like,
Can I just come in before you come? I just want to correct myself or make myself clear. I don't mean the average players in world context.
Yes.
I was comparing them to the guys that I were privileged to have.
Yeah.
There might be a
thanks,
media press conference on Friday to discuss that. 2009, you mentioned the eye gouging 15 years ago.
I feel like every time on the show it comes up in some way.
We haven't
shape, or
brought it
form.
up on this show. You might be thinking of a very similar show,
Okay, you were not here.
the BEE version of this show. But you defended Schalk by saying, I believe it was at the time, comparing it to ballet. Was it ballet?
No. It was comparing,
Dancing.
No. It was comparing to going to the Kruger Park.
The Kruger Park.
If he want to eye gouge something, he will go eye gouge a lion.
That's
man.
right.
I don't know if I'm that. I don't know if I was that brave, but yeah, I got a
Who thinks of
different
something
name.
like that?
Oh, that's
But you
amazing.
did also say, which was I thought magnificent, you said, why don't we go to the nearest ballet shop, get some tutus, and get a dancing shop going if
I don't think it was only referring to me because Bucky's I got 8 weeks. Bucky's got a month for clearing out.
You get 8 weeks.
Yeah, I got 8 weeks for that. Bucky's got a couple of weeks for just doing a good clear out
On Adam Jones.
On Adam Jones that dislocated his
Yes.
shoulder, but so too Donny Rousseau got taken out by Brian O'Driscoll.
But I mean,
Brian
That
O'Driscoll
was the
stayed
nature
on
of
and
the
made
game,
the
right?
wrong read when Brian O'Banner actually.
Brian O'Driscoll dominated Donny Rousseau.
He did.
I know, yeah.
The reason
Just
why I
remind
said
him of
that is that dancing is also a contact sport.
Yeah,
it
that's
is,
right,
right?
yeah.
Especially
So if you want us to do
in
it
Paul.
if you
Especially in Paul. It's, what do they call it? Cook Frey polka.
Like I must say, of that test match, taking my incident aside, I think it was the most brutal test match.
Yeah.
I think there
Yeah.
has been.
In
That
fact,
it was proper.
Coach De Villiers summed it up. He said, if you want to run with the big dogs, you
lift
must
your leg.
lift your leg.
You know why it was the most physical game like ever?
Why?
Because it was for Schalk's 50th. So for his 50th test match, we had to get the most brutal game ever.
Yeah,
Was that your 50?
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, but you know what?
Probably not
I
the
brought him
greatest,
back.
but
I brought him
that's
back.
fine, but okay.
If you can recall, I brought him back from a long injury.
Yeah, that's right. I got injured in Super Rugby and I came back.
I brought him back.
Yeah, I missed
Now I
the first-
depended on him,
Yeah.
so he let me down again.
I mean, you've probably discussed it 1,000 times, but for the purposes of this show, what was going through your mind? Did you touch someone's eye?
I mean, I think that's like you get it wrong sometimes where you might be a bit like I was a relaxed guy beforehand, but then I sort of crossed the line and G'd myself up a bit. But like also you look at it in isolation, you go, oh, pretty stupid. But then you don't take into account what the Lions meant to us. You don't take into account my 50th test match. I missed out on the first one. I get picked for the second.
in that moment
and
when
the-
it happened.
It predominantly gets fueled by the media. You know, you see the Lions tour South Africa, our previous one, with Rassi's video, Warren Gatlin,
Yes.
the first test, you know, the TMO decisions. There's a lot going on. And all of that subconsciously fueled you up, and sometimes you've got to say, listen, maybe I got it wrong. Maybe I overstepped
His
the
hands were
mark.
there.
But it's also Nick, like you're in the moment. So the rugby is a physical game. It's the first couple of minutes of the game. You know, you wanna be as physical as possible. You make it take. And remember, you're not touching each other like this. So you get it wrong. You find yourself in an awkward situation, and in that moment you don't realize It's not as if Schalk was going for the guy's eyes and trying to flip and rip out his eyes. It's like you get a grip on something you don't really know what it is, and you're aggressive with it. And
As
But his hand- his hands were
Eckhart
there.
Tolle
His
says,
hand-
you're just in the moment.
His hands were there.
Yeah.
His hands were in the right place. In the right place in the wrong time.
Yeah,
And I just couldn't take myself away from the situation that he were in, you know?
Yes.
Because if I had turned on him, I was very disappointed in him. I can tell you that today. I didn't say it then. Because I brought him back and it was a big, the commotion that was around it. But anyhow, to turn on him, it would have been disaster for the team. You know what? Because the other guys would think, if I turn on him, what would I do with him? So I had to stand up for him, and especially for Buckies too. And we did some wrong things in to support them. And I'm telling you today, it nearly cost me my career.
This actually leads us to our next question, because you've now worked in rugby and politics. Which is dirtier? And let me also ask, in which capacity did you feel more at risk of getting punched in the face?
Politics. So they did punch me in the face. In rugby, you can clean up the mess immediately.
Right, a clean out.
They don't clean it clean up the mess in politics.
Yes.
They just cover it up all the time, So yeah, the politics around rugby are more severe than politics itself, because people who wants to get involved with politics in rugby don't understand the rugby connotation and that there's things around the game. But politics itself is, I'm telling you now.
If you were
it's not for
coaching,
everybody.
if you were coaching a political rugby team, what position would Helen Zille play if she had to?
Okay.
That's just such a loaded question. Like you
wanted that.
You knew exactly where that was
You wanted
going.
that.
The last time we were here,
Yeah.
in the last episode, I think we had Butch James with us. Schalk,
right.
I was talking about, I played rugby once, and down the road at the Waldorf School. I don't know if you've, no.
Once.
And I was, yeah.
That's not the season. Once is not the
Once,
season.
yeah, once. And I was very inexperienced, but I was selected in the. And you asked me what position did I end up playing, and the position I ended up playing was reverse cowgirl, which was very strange. There was a time.
You sure it was rugby, Nick?
What's reverse cowgirl?
That's for you to Google later on. There was a time when Helen Zille and Patricia De Lille were like the Victor and Buckies of politics, an effective, a great team. What do you think had their partnership fizzle out so quickly?
They weren't giants.
This man has gone from rugby into politics. Would you guys ever consider?
Please not.
I'm going to take Peter's advice and
Please
go,
not.
please not.
Please not.
Because Jean, it actually, if you look into the family history, it worked for Davy.
Davy. Now I've got a story on that as well.
Yes, tell us.
2011.
Yep.
So 2011, we go to the Union Building in Pretoria before the World Cup. You remember we went there. President at the time, Jacob Zuma. So now the whole squad gets presented, and you walk past and you shake President Zuma's hand or whatever, and Coach Peter De Villiers, he's like announcing all the players and whatever. So I get to President Zuma and I shake it. I say, "Oh, De Villiers." He says, "Are you related to Davy De Villiers, the politician and rugby player?" I said, "No, I'm related to him." I got a good chuckle out of him.
Very
as well.
good,
So,
very
yeah.
good. Schalk, what about you? Would you ever consider running for? What about something like the mayor of Wellington?
No.
What about something? Can you imagine that campaign?
If there is something to be said for being a publican, like in pub,
Okay.
Publican.
a
Yes.
publican.
I'm just saying, if you
I'll
ever,
be a very proud owner and representative of pubs and the publicans.
if you change your mind, I will run your campaign,
Oh, thank you very
and
much.
it will
Nick.
be called Schalk Burger, Meester.
We'll run it into the ground.
I was going to ask a general question, rugby in general. We're talking goats of world rugby at the moment. DuPont is one that's mentioned quite a lot. Schalk over here at 21 were you World Rugby Player of the Year at 21?
Still the youngest world rugby world
That's,
player.
can't
of the
believe,
year.
can't believe that's 20 years ago, boys.
20 years ago.
Yeah.
DuPont also won that accolade at the geriatric age of 25.
Yeah.
And they say he's, as a player, is as fast as a winger, strong as a back row, as smart as a fly half, controls games like a puppeteer from scrum half. But if you look at Cheslin, he does all of that, and he throws in at the line out like a hooker, and he's won 2 World Cups. So should he not be the GOAT, coach?
We've got one now in South Africa who can actually turn the world around, Sasha.
Yeah.
Sasha.
I'm telling you, he has the credentials that most of the guys did have. The biggest problem is, how do I leave this guy out?
Yes.
You know, these guys, what people didn't understand about them is that they were psychologically so strong. Nobody could move them. Even when we were struggling, they knew what they're gonna do. You know, that guy, for a youngster, for quite a while I never saw somebody else just come into this game and show this kind of class.
Yep.
issue. So I think there's out of pond at this stage.
And as Donnie Craven said, he's a lucky Jew
Yeah.
as well.
I'll just throw, you mentioned Cheslin, I'll just throw Peter De Toy's name in there as
Yeah,
well.
definitely.
Just at the moment,
Definitely. I'm telling you.
he's unbelievable.
Yeah, he's our glue, eh?
Yeah, and just the consistency.
You coached Zimbabwe's national team in 2019. Do they stand a chance in anything ever?
The best athletes, let me tell you, the best athletes like the Maoris are at the moment for New Zealand, Zimbabweans. They're the best athletes. I'm telling
Really?
you now. Yeah. The one thing, I don't think they will stand a chance ever, because
They got to keep flying the players over from South Africa.
Nobody believes it. Nobody believes in that country how good they really can
Right,
be.
yeah. Right.
And then they don't put. It's a small union syndrome that we do have here too. They don't put the money in the right places where they can develop the people better. A rugby player with skills is just another rugby player, but a rugby player with skills and a strong head, and those are the things you need to develop from a very young age for people. The one thing that made him strong, and him also, but especially him from a young age, he was a injury-prone guy.
No, really?
World Cup years, especially.
I'm telling you, but that is
Nick, I'll take you out, eh?
I'm telling you, those things made him strong.
Yeah.
To overcome that, that's nothing to do with rugby, but to overcome that, you can overcome anything else on a rugby field. Do you understand? And nobody teaches the players those little things. Because if you're 49, you need one cap for 50 or 99 for 100, and you get injured. It's not about that injuries now. Yeah, what a big disappointment.
Yeah, I know.
But to come back from that thing, that is the toughest one.
Yeah.
Like he did with this injury, to come back from that. And from there, you know, I don't need to coach these guys.
No, it's never smooth sailing. Eh? There's always adversity somewhere along the line, whether it's rugby or life, and that's the beauty of sport. It
On the top,
teaches you-
but on your top, it
teaches
happens.
you life lessons. Yeah.
Just when you think the world is on my feet.
Just when it gets easy. It's always like you've done all the work. I begin it lekker maklik raak.
How's it gone?
And then it just life just gives you a little.
But I mean, the relationships that you build, I mean, just here today, being in between these two giants, do you feel a bit like Drickus walking into the ring with Eben and with his bodyguards?
But it's no problem. I mean, with them, I'll be in the middle. They'll eat each other. They will never reach me. They're above my head.
We can see. We've got a tradition on this show whenever we have a coach on, which is only happens twice. We get hold of these balloons over here in front of us. You can see they're about. We had Coach Dobbo on, and then we're going to ask you to talk philosophy with us. He talked to us about Albert Camus and the absurd hero pushing the rock up the hill, which is how the Stormers won the UFC. So that you.
UFC.
Yeah,
URC.
URC,
Protocol.
yeah.
URC.
Are you an MMA fan?
No. You know what? I don't even try to get to things that's not original. Upbeat everything.
Is it?
So
Because you
whatever-
mustn't change your style. That's one thing you said. Don't ever change your style. Otherwise, God made a mistake. Is that
He
correct?
made a big mistake then, yeah. But I'm not saying he didn't make a mistake with me.
Look, I didn't know what MMA was until a few months ago. I thought it was those pills we used to take at the parties, in the trance party. Do you remember, John, in the late 90s?
Yeah.
Passed out.
But, you know,
When you passed
no,
out.
made you want to hug strangers. MMA.
I
Never.
didn't know.
You see, I made the point last week. We don't have enough recreational drugs in rugby anymore.
Is that so?
Yeah. Think about the team of the late 90s. James Small used to
Yeah.
go from the club straight to Ellis Park.
Okay.
I don't know.
I'm just trying to wait for the balloons to come in.
Tell us what the tradition is. What's the tradition with coaches?
So we basically, I don't know if you've ever sucked on a helium balloon, but we do that now.
Is that for me now?
No,
I don't need one.
No, he doesn't need one. Just for us.
Spit helium.
And who would like to kick us off here?
What are we talking about?
John, we're talking about some of your favorite welcome PDV quotes.
Ek wil net lekker hulle sê vir Piet Helium wat langs my sit.
I can't really remember any of those quotes during the time, but you know, at the time it was really funny old Piet Helium. The same people who threw their robes on the ground when Jesus was on the donkey are the same people who crowned him and hit him with sticks. Does that mean anything to you?
Coachie, vat enetjie.
Wat enetjie coachie.
Anything.
Praat net.
This is something I often tell my kids that you said to the Springboks. Guys, there's no difference between winning and losing. You just feel better after winning.
Yeah, definitely.
No,
man. This sounds the same. Listen to me. You drink. The drink tastes much better.
Coach is obviously permanent op helium.
Come on, take a suck of
I
that.
did try, man.
You didn't take enough.
Actually, you need to take a big one, a big, suck it in.
Suck 'em.
So, not that.
it's got no
It doesn't work for me.
I can't believe that. That's unbelievable.
I make William. That's all.
Well, in conclusion, Coach, it's been magnificent having you on the show. You're an inspiration to our country. Thank you for everything you've done, the level of adversity you've overcome.
And would you like to summarize Peter De Villiers?
I gotta get all of that, yeah. It actually puts you on a bit of a high as well. It's nice.
Coach, not only will you go down in history as one of the most philosophical, colourful, and at times unintelligible Springbok coaches ever, but also one of the most successful. Thank you for your service to the game, and we love you.
Thanks so much. It will always remain a privilege to serve your country. It doesn't, I know I'm talking from a perspective now from any coach of this country. It doesn't seem, if they appreciate really that you also served at a very high level the country, they just chuck all our coaches away. Don't look back and try and draw from the experience that they gave to you. So maybe for not my time, but for future coaches starting with Rassie, if they can incorporate them going forward, I think our game will be so much better.
That's it.
Coachie.
Thanks,
See you next
Coachie.
time
Dankie vir
on
jou
Banter
memory.
with the boys. And in the meantime, we look forward to Saturday's game, Boks versus All Blacks, Cape Town Stadium, in the
Cape
words
Town.
of former Minister of Sport, Fikile Mbalula.
Murala.
Nice.
Awesome.